Your Excellency, to the contrary, they discuss our very competent Minister for Interior, General Kaiseri, and his tear gas. And to the contrary, they spent more time discussing you and your deputy. Your Excellency, they came out of, while you were away, they came out of Bomas. Not only divided, but with an agenda to divide Kenya along tribal lines. Your Excellency, they came out of Bomas with an agenda on how to share positions, which again are not found in the Constitution. So, Your Excellency, while you are away, the people of Kenya now have an opportunity. They saw our competitors in Bomas and what they stand for. And today they have an opportunity to watch, led by you, what your administration, your coalition, your party stands for. It's like day and night. So, Your Excellency, we don't believe in the politics of insult. We don't believe in the politics of planting seeds of hatred. We want a country where those who live in the coast and those who live in the rift and those who live in the mountains and those who live in the lake and those who live in the cities and those who live in the desert like me can have an opportunity to be proud of this country. Your Excellency, we want a country that you have set the agenda for, that those who believe in Islam and those of us, our brothers who believe in Christianity, can all worship the same God and be part of that country. Your Excellency, finally, numbers don't lie. When, according to the election laws, when 10th of May, 2017, when the register is closed and is handed over to political parties and all stakeholders, that is when the election is won. And I want to tell our supporters here that let us not focus on the nomination. Let us focus on the voter registration. Let us get 1 million new voters in Mount Kenya region. Let us get 1 more million voters in the Rift Valley. Let us get 500,000 more voters in Nairobi County. Let us get 1.5 million extra in all other parts of the Jubilee, in Northeastern, in Upper Eastern, in Coast, in Western, in Nyanza, and in Kisii, and in Maasai Land, where we are. Let us walk out, then from Monday, let us leave the comfort of our offices. Elections are won democratically. And Your Excellency, while you are away, our friend in his written speech has shown all indication that he has lost the election. And he is preparing. He has also shown all indications, and he doesn't want to tell his supporters that he's preparing them for a Nusu Mukate government. Now, Your Excellency, with the numbers we are going to register as a Jubilee, we want to give the people of Kenya an opportunity that when the election day is reached and when the chips are down and when Kenyans in their numbers go to the polling station, we will win and you will win, inshallah, 70+1. Thank you, Your Excellency. God bless you.
Jubilee. Arambe. Jubilee. Asante sana. Mr. President Sir, Mr. Deputy President Sir, leo tumekuja hapa kufanya maneno ya smart card kwa sababu tunataka watu ambao ni wa Kenya ambao wanataka kujiandikisha kutupigia kura na kuwa wanachama wa Jubilee wafanye hiyo kwa njia ya teknolojia, sababu hiyo kadi ni teknolojia imetengeneza. Nimesema hivyo Mheshimiwa Rais kwa sababu wakati umekuwa safari kuna sheria ingine hapo tumepitisha na rafiki zetu hawakuwa wanaielewa. They don't have an understanding what it is. Hiyo sheria tu inasema wakati unaweka information kwa computer ama kwa machine, make sure that information is available anywhere or rather somewhere else in case machine izame. Hiyo sheria haikutoka kwa Jubilee, contrary to the prevailing misinformation. Hiyo sheria ilitoka kwa IEBC, wakaleta kwa kamati ya National Assembly ya Justice and Legal Affairs. Our members in that committee informed our leaders in the National Assembly about this proposal, and as a party, after consultations, we felt the proposal was good for our country. Kwa hivyo hiyo tumepitisha, na tunashukuru wajumbe wote National Assembly na Senate kwa kazi nzuri ambao walifanya kwa ajili ya taifa letu la Kenya. Sasa ile imebaki tu ya kumalizia hii game August. Ya mwisho, Your Excellency, mimi nataka nishukuru kwa niaba ya sisi zote ambao ni aspirants, sababu sisi zote ni aspirants saa hii. Sasa ni wakati wa siasa, hata ule ako na kiti, we ni aspirant, tuko sawa, we are equal. Taka niseme kwa niaba ya aspirants wenzangu, Mheshimiwa Rais, before you came, your deputy was here. Wenzetu ambao wanaomba kiti ya governor ya Nairobi wametuonyesha an example that all the other 46 counties must follow. Mheshimiwa Rais, hao wamekuja hapa wakiongozwa na my brother Senator Mike Sonko, my colleague, na wale aspirants wengine, Mama Bishop Margaret Wanjiru ambaye anataka kuwa governor, Mheshimiwa Johnson Sakaja ambaye anataka kuwa governor, Mheshimiwa Dennis Waweru ambaye anataka kuwa governor, na wote pamoja na Senator Sonko wamesema na wakakuwa supported na wale waheshimiwa wengine, Mheshimiwa Shebesh, Mheshimiwa Kamanda, ya kwamba in about a few weeks wamejipanga, watakuja hapa watuambie ni nani candidate wa governor, na watahakikisha kwamba umoja wa taifa letu, watahakikisha katika hiyo kazi umoja wa taifa la Kenya utadumishwa. Kwa hivyo mimi kutoka Tharaka Nithi and the other counties tumeamua tuende huko nyumbani tuige mfano wa Nairobi County ili tuhakikishe ya kwamba chama chetu kimeimarika. Sasa asante sana, asante mheshimiwa na the other colleagues. Sasa namalizia, lakini nilikuwa nimeambiwa kuna msanii dakika moja before the deputy president alikuwa ameomba dakika moja, Mburu wa Buri, dakika moja alafu deputy president yakuja.
Haya, Jubilee, Jubilee. Nataka tuongee Kimeru. Nikisema Jubilee, mnasema Toreamwe. Jubilee, Jubilee. Asante sana Mheshimiwa Rais kwa safari nzuri ambayo umekuja, na mimi najua kuwa kule mawinguni umeongana na Yesu Kristo ya kwamba Kenya itaokoka. Pigeni makofi. yangu ni kusema ya kwamba nina imani na serikali ya Uhuru Muigai Kenyatta. Na mimi niliingia na tiketi ya ODM. Na nilipoingia na tiketi nikaingia katika mbunge, nikaamua kujiunga na Uhuru na Ruto kwa sababu serikali ya Uhuru haina mtoto wa mgongo wala watumbo wala aliye na mate wala makamazi, inaunganisha kila mtu. Na ndivyo mimi nimeamua kufanya kazi na serikali ya Uhuru. Njusi Raila alinipigia simu akaambia, Amburi wewe utalilia kwa choo. Mimi namwambia mimi sitalilia kwa choo. Mimi nitalilia kwa serikali. Na Mheshimiwa Rais, yangu ni kindogo ni kusema kwamba nina imani na serikali hii. Njusi nilikuwa kwa TV nikiangalia wenzangu wale niliacha kwa ODM wakiongea. Walikuwa naongea matusi peke yake. Hakuna agenda ya kuinua Mkenya. Hakuna agenda ya kuinua kina mama. Hakuna agenda ya kuinua vijana. Ndipo nasema Mheshimiwa Rais, karibu katika nchi yetu ya Kenya na nchi ni safi. Lakini wakati ulipoenda ng'ambo, sisi tuliona mambo. Na mambo tuliyaona ni yale yalikuwa kule Bomas of Kenya. Nikimalizia nasema ya kwamba wewe ndugu yangu ulipewa nusu mkate miaka 5. Mwaka wa kwanza huyo mkate ni Mkenya, Vivi anaitwa Mkenya. Ukapewa huyo Vivi, ukaingia naye kwa nyumba. Mwaka wa kwanza hakuna nge, ya pili hakuna nge, ya tatu hakuna nge, ya 4 hakuna nge, ya 5 hakuna nge. Patia Uhuru Kenyatta apande, aunganishe vijana na wasichana katika nyumba hii, ungane kila Kenya iweze kuamka. Na mimi nimemaliza kwa sababu nagusa mgongo, kaseti inaachilia. Ndio nasema kwamba nataka tumkaribishe na wimbo. Mnataka hivyo? Nataka tukukaribishe na wimbo Mheshimiwa Rais. Na mimi nakuamurisha kama rais, ukiwa Mheshimiwa Rais usimame tukuimbie. Tusimame, kila mtu asimame. Na hii wimbo inasema moto wa Uhuru, moto umewaka. Alafu nikisema shetani anainama, mnainama anainuka, mnainuka, anaangalia. Mnafanya namna gani? Akaona moto akatoroka huyo. Haya, pigeni makofi. Moto wa Uhuru, moto umewaka. Moto wa Ruto, moto. Moto andwale, moto. Moto wa Kindiki, moto. Moto wa Kenya, moto. Raila anainama, anainuka, anaangalia, akaona Uhuru akatoroka huyo.
Basi haya ndio huyo. Basi ndio huyo. Basi. Asa. Ndio huyo sasa. Basi. Asante sana, ndio huyo. Nataka kuchukua nafasi hii kwa heshima kubwa kumwalika naibu wa kiongozi wa chama chetu, Deputy President William Ruto.
Asanteni sana. Thank you very much. Kiongozi wetu na rais wa Jamhuri ya Kenya, Mheshimiwa Uhuru Muigai Kenyatta. Wana Jubilee wote hamjambo? Hamujambo tena? Bwana Yesu asifiwe. Harambe. Harambe. Jubilee. 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 Wow. Waswahili wanasema hayawi huwa. Tumengojea, siku yenyewe imefika. Mheshimiwa Rais, kwa niaba ya viongozi hawa wa chama cha Jubilee, nataka nikukaribishe kiongozi wetu Kenya, karibu nyumbani. Vile niliwaeleza, rais wetu alikuwa ameenda kule India, mnajua, kwa kazi ya kusukuma gurudumu ya taifa letu kwenda mbele. Na amefika sasa hivi kutoka airport, amekuja moja kwa moja katika mkutano huu. Na kwa sababu kazi ya kupeleka Kenya mbele ni kazi ambayo inahitaji kujitolea, na vile rais amejitolea, mimi pia nikimaliza mkutano huu, rais tena amenituma mkutano mwingine wa serikali kwenda nchi ya Mali, na nitaondoka hapa in the next 1 hour kuwaambia ya kwamba we take the transformation of Kenya seriously. Mheshimiwa Rais na ndugu zangu, watu viongozi wa Jubilee, kuna mambo kadha, Mheshimiwa Rais, ambayo viongozi hawa wamezungumza kwa kina na kwa kirefu, na ningependa nijaribu kuweka mwangaza kwa mambo mawili matatu ambayo yametokea katika mkutano huu. Ya kwanza, mimi nataka niwaambie ndugu zangu wana Jubilee, sisi zote tulio hapa, sisi ni wamoja, na sisi zote tuko sawa mbele ya chama na katiba ya chama ya Jubilee. Wakati rais amefika hapa, ameniuliza, Bwana Deputy, are you sure we are in the right meeting? Nikamwambia we are in the right meeting. Akasema nafikiri kuna makosa kidogo, kwa sababu tulikuwa tumeuliza wale watu ambao ni aspirants ambao wanataka kupigiwa kura, lakini vile nimeona hapa ni kama hawa ni wapigaji kura wenyewe, sio wale wa kupigiwa kura, kwa sababu ya idadi ya watu walio hapa. Mheshimiwa Rais, usishangae, hawa wangwana walio hapa wengi, maelfu unavyowaona, hawa wote ni watu aspirants wanaotafuta tikiti ya chama ya Jubilee. Ni kweli si kweli? Ni kweli si kweli? Lakini wote kwa kauli moja wakizungumza hapa wamesema watashindana na lile wanaodai kutoka chama ya Jubilee ni kuhakikisha ya kwamba mambo ya nomination iwe ya free and fair and democratic. And Mr. President, on your behalf, I want to give that guarantee to these people. I know you're going to say it, but I want to assure you, under the leadership of President Uhuru Kenyatta, the elections and nominations in Jubilee will be free, fair, and democratic. Na nyinyi kuuliza ya kwamba lazima tuwe una uchaguzi wa huru na haki is not a favor that you are going to get from your party. It is a right for you to demand from your party. Jambo la pili ambalo limetokea, Mheshimiwa Rais, ni kwamba tuko na wale tuliowachagua kama wale watakaosimamia mambo ya presidential campaign. Na imetokea hapa kwamba pengine watu wengine wanaona wao watapata nafasi ya mbele kuliko wenzao wanaoshindana pamoja. Mimi nataka niwaambie hivi, tayari Mheshimiwa Rais ametoa amri kwa Bwana Tuju ya kwamba kila mmoja wetu tulio hapa, aspirant wa MCA, aspirant wa mjumbe, wa senator, wa governor, every aspirant will now join the presidential campaign on equal basis. Na hawa hawatoshi. Unaelewana? Kwa sababu tunataka kila mtu wakati anapotafuta kura, atafute kura yake ya MCA na atafute kura ya rais. Yule anatafuta kiti ya bunge, atafute kiti ya bunge na atafute kiti ya rais. Na yule wa Senate na governor atafute kura yake na atafute ya rais. Tunaelewana jameni? Sasa kila mtu hapa, kama ulitoka nyumbani, wewe si member wa presidential campaign, ujue sasa rasmi wewe ni member wa presidential campaign. Ndio hiyo story ikuishie hapo. Ama namna gani? Si ni namna hiyo ndugu zangu? Kwa sababu niliona kulikuwa na changamoto hapo kidogo. Mheshimiwa Rais, mimi nataka nimalizie kwa kusema tu mambo mawili. Ya kwanza, wakati wa 2013, ndugu zangu, wana Jubilee na wa Kenya, tulikubaliana mambo mawili muhimu. Jambo la kwanza ni kwamba tutaunganisha taifa letu la Kenya liwe ni taifa ambayo kila jamii, mtu wa kutoka bara na pwani, wa kutoka kule ziwani na wa kutoka mlimani na mabondeni, wa dini zote, tutaungana kama ndugu moja, watu wa taifa moja, taifa la Kenya. Mr. President, you made that pledge, and we made that pledge with you kama wana Jubilee. Jambo la pili tulikubaliana ni kwamba we are going to transform this country, and this country must become different under the leadership of Jubilee. Those two summed up the Jubilee agenda. Mheshimiwa Rais, mimi nataka niseme I am a very proud member of this Jubilee party, kwa sababu yale mambo mawili ambayo tulisema kwa vyovyote lazima tutimize yametimia. 2013 tulikuwa katika vyama mbalimbali. Tulikuwa na muungano na TNA na URP na APK na UDF na New Ford Kenya na wale wengine. Leo as we stand here, we are no longer a coalition, we are one united national party called Jubilee Party. Mheshimiwa Rais, that demonstrates our commitment as Jubilee that we believe in Kenya. Vile imesemekana hapa, we dissolved our parties, not because we didn't love our parties. We dissolved our parties because we love Kenya more. Jambo la pili ya transformation, Mheshimiwa Rais, you have the statistics from the standard gauge railway to the roads to the 92 referral hospitals to matters to do with education to the technical training colleges to the electricity connection to the security of our country to devolution that is transforming Kenya. The whole of that array under Jubilee, we have seen in some areas things that are next to what people never believed would happen. Na kwa sababu Mheshimiwa Rais na ndugu zangu wana Jubilee, tulikubaliana tutaunganisha Kenya na tutabadilisha Kenya. Na mumeona wenyewe with your own eyes what has happened in this country. Isipokuwa kuna watu ambao wako na macho lakini hawaoni, wako na masikio lakini hawasikii, wako na vichwa lakini wanabeba tu, hawazitumii. Ndio wao unawasikia hati hawajaona chochote imefanyika katika Kenya hii. To be able to take the country to the next level, I want to ask you, dear Kenyans, members of the Jubilee Party, ili kusukuma Kenya kutoka mahali ilipo sasa, so that we can make sure that the transformation of Kenya continues and is completed. The next 1 month is going to be very important for all of us. Mwezi mmoja unaokuja kuanzia Jumatatu, lazima tuwasajili wa Kenya ambao hawana kadi ya kura na wale hawana vitambulisho. Ni jukumu letu, kwa sababu it is said that bad leaders are chosen by good people who don't vote. Kama wewe ni mtu mzuri ambaye hauna kura ama hujaenda kupiga kura, wewe ndio sababu ya sisi kuwa na viongozi ambao hawafai, kwa sababu kura yako ambayo hujapiga ndio inatuletea matatizo. And every Kenyan must realize it is their duty, it is their constitutional right, and it is also their responsibility to make sure they participate in choosing the men and women who will drive the agenda and provide leadership for our country. Na hiyo ndio jukumu ambayo mmekuja hapa tukubaliane ya kwamba kazi hiyo sio ya rais, kazi hiyo sio ya deputy president ama kiongozi fulani. Kazi hiyo ni kazi yetu sisi wote kama wana Jubilee, ndio tuweze kusukuma gurudumu ya kuhakikisha kwamba Kenya inabadilika. I want to complete by giving you 5 issues that I want to complete with. Hii uchaguzi wa 2017 is very different from uchaguzi wa 2013. Yes. Kwa sababu kwanza, tofauti kati ya Jubilee na CORD ama NASWA ni kama usiku na mchana. Tunaelewana? 5 issues. Number 1, 2013 and 2017 are different. Kwa sababu 2013 sisi kama Jubilee tulikuwa tumebebeshwa mzigo wa ile kesi ya choices have consequences. But today we walk in our country by the grace of God as free men that can work for our country. That baggage is not with us anymore. Jambo la pili, 2013 tulikuja hapa na tukaenda kuuliza kura kwa Wakenya as different political parties in a coalition. Today, this time 2017, we are going to face the people of Kenya as a party that unites all the communities, all the regions, all the faiths of the Republic of Kenya. In 2013, number 3, we went to face the electorate with a list of pledges and promises. 2017, we are going to face the electorate with a scorecard and with a track record that speaks for itself and that we are proud of. And number 4, in 2013, we faced a formidable opponent with half the government, a prime minister sitting, a vice president sitting. But today, we face a clueless, rudderless, leaderless, planless, disorganized opposition. There is a world of a difference, good people. There is a world of a difference. Hakuna haja ya kurudia, wamesikia. Tuko pamoja? Number 5. Tuko pamoja? And that is why I want you to believe in Jubilee. In 2013, number 5, we went into an election. Turudie number 4. Aya. Acha basi nirudie. In 2013, we faced a formidable opponent with a sitting prime minister and a sitting vice president running almost 3/4 of government. But today, we face a clueless, rudderless, leaderless, planless, disorganized opposition. Aya. Wacha tuelewane. Tuko pamoja? That is what it is. Wacha tukubaliane. And you don't need any evidence beyond what you saw in Bomas the other day. Number 5, the last one. In 2013, we went into an election that was heavily influenced by matters to do with tribalism, regionalism, and division. But this election is going to be about what Kenyans consider as issues that matter to them. That is why even our friends in the opposition have started to talk about which road, which project, because they have realized it is not enough to say so-and-so comes from this ethnic community. Kenyans are demanding, beyond somebody coming from an ethnic community or a region or professing a certain religion, what is their agenda for the people of the great nation of Kenya. Ndio mnasikia wale tunashindana na wao kwa sababu wamejua sasa ya kwamba kusema huyu ni mbara, ule ni wa pwani haitoshi. Mpaka uwaambie wa Kenya barabara imetengenezwa, sitima imeunganishwa, maji imeunganishwa, kina mama wamelipiwa gharama ya kujifungua hospitali. They want to know, Kenyans want to know what is in it for them beyond the community you come from, the region you come from, or the faith you profess. Sawa sawa? Ndio mnasikia siku hizi wale watu wa upinzani wanaanza kusema, unajua hii project ilianzishwa na wale, sio ya Jubilee. Unajua hii pesa sio ya serikali ya Kenya, ni ya World Bank. Unajua hii ni ile. Kwa sababu we are very proud that even the opposition now are beginning to think and talk about roads, about water, because all along they have been talking about ethnicity, sijui hawa ni wa group ile, hawa ni wa group ile. Na wenzangu watu wa Jubilee, wacha niwaambie hivi. Hii 2017 hii ilikuwa nasikia wengine wanaongea kule, lakini wacha niwaeleze. Hii 2017 ni tofauti, kwa sababu katika mkutano huu leo sio 2013 ilikuwa 50 plus 1. Hii 2017 ni mengine, kwa sababu wale wanaongea pale wanaongea hawajui ya kwamba mambo imebadilika. Bado unawasikia wanasema ati Jubilee ni exclusionist, sijui ni ya kabila hii na ile. Mimi niwaulize wa Kenya hapa mchana, hapa katika ukumbi huu tuko na Chris Obure yuko hapa na watu wa Kisii. Chris Obure amechaguliwa na ODM, senator wa Kisii. Wabunge wa Kisii wako hapa, walichaguliwa upande wa ODM, leo wako ndani ya Jubilee. Walipiga kura na wao 2013, watapiga kura na Jubilee 2017. Katika ukumbi huu tuko na Gideon Mung'aro, alichaguliwa na ODM. Tuko na Governor Mvurya, alichaguliwa na ODM. Tuko na wabunge wa Pwani hapa, wamechaguliwa na ODM. Hawa wangwana wote hawa wote walikuwa ODM, leo wako na Jubilee. Walipiga kura na wao 2013, watapiga kura na Jubilee 2017. Tukiwa hapa, Eugene Wamalwa yuko hapa, Washali yuko hapa, wabunge wa kutoka mkoa wa Magharibi wako hapa. Hawakupiga kura na Jubilee 2013, lakini watapiga kura na Jubilee 2017. Mimi nawaambia ndugu zangu, wale wako huko, mbunge wa Karachuonyo yuko hapa, kina Victor Munyoka wako hapa, wabunge wa kutoka Ukambani wako hapa, kina Mutambo wako pale, kina Rachel Nyamai wako pale, kina Makenga wako pale, kina Regina Ndambuki wako hapa. Wote hawa walipiga kura ya Wiper 2013 katika upande ule, leo watapiga na Jubilee 2017. When they talk about haya, Mwaura yuko hapa, alikuwa amepiga ODM. K1 yuko hapa, alikuwa amepiga ODM. Sasa niwaulize ndugu zangu, Mpuru Waburi yuko hapa, alichaguliwa na ODM. Mimi niwaulize wenzangu wana Jubilee, tuko na Abbas pale kutoka Ijara, alichaguliwa na ODM, sasa ni Jubilee 2017. Sasa niwaulize ndugu zangu wana Jubilee, wale ambao wako na Wakenya wa kutoka pembe zote za Kenya, ni wao ama ni sisi? Jubilee is the home of every community in Kenya and every region in Kenya and every faith in our republic. And that is the party, Mr. President, that you lead. And that is why we are very proud to be associated with your leadership. And I tell you, the country of Kenya is praying for you, and Mungu akipenda 2017 hii uchaguzi tutashinda na 70+1. Muko tayari tusikie kiongozi wetu? Muko tayari? Harambee! Harambee! Jubilee! Jubilee!
Asante sana William, nashukuru sana. Wakenya wenzangu, hamjambo? Wana Jubilee, hamjambo? Tulipo vile tulipo. Asanteni sana. Vile mumeelezwa leo hii tumetoka safari tulikuwa kule India, safari ambayo tulipata nafasi ya kuongea na viongozi wenzetu wa huko, na haja yetu sisi ilikuwa kujua ni kwa jinsi gani tutaweza kuinua taifa letu la Kenya tukishirikiana na wenzetu wa India. Tukiwa huko tumepata nafasi na tumekubaliana na hawa mambo mengi. Kati yao tumekubaliana ya kwamba watatufungulia soko yao tuweze kuuza mimea yetu ambazo tunakuza hapa Kenya, na wametupatia nafasi tuweze tuuze katika nchi yao. Hiyo itasaidia wakulima wetu kuwa na soko mpya ya kuuza ile mimea ambao wanalima kwa jasho yao. Pia tukiwa huko tumepata nafasi ya kukubaliana na hawa ya kwamba kama taifa la Kenya tumeweza kufanya yale ambayo tumeweza kufanya kuinua hali ya mahospitali yetu, lakini bado hatujafika huko. Kwa sasa kuna Wakenya wengi sana ambao wanatembea nchi ya India kupata matibabu, haswa matibabu ya kansa na maradhi mengine. Lakini hawa ambao wanatembea kwao ni gharama kubwa sana. Wengi wamepoteza biashara zao, shamba zao, familia zao kwa sababu ya kuchanga pesa ya kupeleka wagonjwa India. Lakini sio hawa peke yao. Kuna wengi sana ambao wamepoteza maisha yao hapa kwa sababu hata hiyo safari hawawezi kwenda. Na tumekubaliana na hawa ya kwamba tutajenga hospitali hapa Kenya ya kutibu hayo magonjwa ya kansa na mengine, na ndio tuweze kupunguza gharama, na Wakenya pia kupitia NHIF na mambo mengine wawe wanaweza kupata matibabu haya katika taifa letu la Kenya bila kutembea nje, na ndio tuweze kupunguza gharama na tuweze kuongeza nafasi ya Wakenya ambao wanaweza kupata matibabu. Asante. Tukiwa hapo, unajua India wako masaa 2.5 mbele yetu. Kwa hivyo sisi tulimaliza mikutano yetu, na wakati tumemaliza bado nyinyi mlikuwa mnaendelea na maneno hapa. Kwa hivyo tukapata nafasi pia ya kuangalia yale ambayo yalikuwa yanaendelea na yanatendeka nyumbani. Mshangao mkubwa ni ya kwamba wakati sisi tuwafanya kazi ya kusaidia Wakenya wenzetu, niliona majamaa wengine huko wakiwa wamesema wameungana. Wakati niligojea kusikia wameungana watuletee nini, nikaona wameungana kutuletea matusi, wameungana kutuletea chuki, wameungana kutuletea mgawanyiko ya Wakenya. Nikaona watu ambao hawana ajenda yeyote ya kuinua hali ya maisha ya Mkenya wa kawaida wa jamhuri hii yetu ya Kenya. Nikasikia wakisema ya kwamba serikali ya Jubilee hakuna lolote ambalo tumetenda. Nikasema kumbe kuna watu ambao wanaishi nchi lakini hawana habari, hawaelewi, hawaoni, hawasikii, hawatembei. Na kama wafanya haya yote, nasema washindwe kwa sababu ya kuongea na kudanganya Wakenya. Moja nikamsikia akisema ya kwamba Uhuru alikuwa Webuye kufungua pan paper, na pan paper sasa haifanyi kazi. Nikasema wacha hiyo kwanza nipige simu niulize kama kwani kuna nini. Kupiga simu nikaambiwa kuna mjamaa mwingine alitembea huko Sunday wakati wa Kenya wako katika kanisa, akachukua mapicha hapo nje, na hiyo ndio sasa alitembea naye kusema ya kwamba pan paper haifanyi kazi. Nasema ashindwe. Nikasikia ya kwamba yale ambayo tunasema tumetenda katika mahospitali yetu sio ya ukweli. Kwa hivi wakati sisi tulichukua usukani, there were only 34 dialysis machines in Kenya. Those 34 dialysis machines were concentrated in Kenyatta National Hospital and Moi Referral Hospital. Leo hii we have 174 in every corner of the Republic of Kenya. Mimi nasema washindwe. Wakati Jubilee ilichukua usukani, in the entire Republic of Kenya, there were only 37 ICU beds. Kutoka tupate uhuru, leo hii we have over 60 ICU beds in the Republic of Kenya. In 2013, we had no digital X-ray machines in the Republic. Now we have 94 in every corner of Kenya. Jameni washindwe. In 2013, wakati Jubilee ilichukua usukani, wakina mama ambao walikuwa na uwezo wa kujifungua katika mahospitali yetu walikuwa 1,600. Leo hii zaidi ya 1,200,000 wanajifungua katika hospitali za serikali. Tuwasema washindwe na hiyo uongo yao. 2013, Wakenya ambao walikuwa wanataka huduma ya serikali walikuwa wanatembea Nairobi au zile provincial capitals za zamani ndio mtu aweze kupata kitambulisho, ndio mtu aweze kupata huduma mbalimbali za serikali. Leo hii katika kila county, na county zingine ziko na 2, tuko na huduma centers ambazo Wakenya wanapata huduma bila kulipa matatu ya kwenda Nairobi kufanya kazi hiyo. Waseme hatujafanya kazi, tuwasema 2013, wale ambao tunaita vulnerable katika taifa letu la Kenya, wazee, walemavu, wazee, walemavu, mayatima, only 290,000 ambao walikuwa wanaweza kupata pesa ya serikali. Leo hii over 714,000 every month wanapata pesa ya serikali ndio waweze kujisaidia. Leo hii walemavu hawalipi kodi ndio waweze kuwa sawa na Wakenya wenzao. Waseme ya kwamba serikali ya Jubilee haijafanya kazi, washindwe. Wakati Jubilee ilichukua usukani, port ya Mombasa ilikuwa ina handle less than 800,000 containers a year. Today, the port of Mombasa is handling 1.6 million containers every year. Watu waambie hakuna kazi ambayo tunafanya. Tuwasema washindwe. 2013, watoto wa Kenya walikuwa wanalipishwa kufanya mitihani. na kama huwezi kulipa, certificate ilikuwa inashikwa, mtoto hawezi kuendelea na masomo yake kwa sababu certificate imeshikwa na shule. Kweli au uongo? Leo hii, mwaka uliopita, hakuna mtoto au mzazi aliulizwa ndururu, serikali ililipa pesa yote, kila mtoto akaweza kuendelea mbele. Tuwasema washindwe. Wakati Jubilee ilichukua usukani, Wakenya milioni 2.2 pekee ndio walikuwa wameunganishwa kwa huduma ya stima. Leo hii zaidi ya Wakenya milioni 5.5 wameunganishwa na stima. Jubilee haijafanya kazi. Wenzetu, I can go on and on and on to enumerate what the Jubilee government has done in a mere 3.5 years. Na wale ambao wanaongea wamekuweko katika serikali wengine zaidi ya miaka 20, na hakuna lolote ambalo mtu aweza asimame aseme ametendea nchi ya Kenya. Wakati niliangalia mambo haya, kwa sababu kwanza nilikasirika, nikasema jameni, sasa hawa watu wananitukana. Lakini wakati nilifikiria, nikaona ya kwamba wachana na hii watu. Unajua shida mtu kama hana lolote ambalo anaweza kuonesha, mtu kwa sababu ameona yale ambayo yametendeka, hana jawabu ingine isipokuwa atukane, kwa sababu hana lolote lingine anaweza kusema. There is nothing else you can say. Nikasema Mungu samehe hawa watu bana. Wacha sisi tuendelee na kazi ya kujenga Kenya. Wacha sisi tuendelee na kazi ya kupambana na umaskini. Wacha sisi tuendelee na kazi ya kupatia huduma wa Kenya wetu. Kwa sababu pahali ambapo tumefika, tukiwa na barabara ambazo tunajenga, tukiwa na reli ambaye jameni, juzi hata kwa TV tuliona bogi zikishukishwa ndizo ziunganishwe ziletwe mpaka Nairobi, lakini bado hawaoni. Nikasema jameni, wana Jubilee, let us not be distracted by those who have no agenda for the Republic of Kenya. Let us not be distracted by those who have no direction but power for the sake of power. Let us be focused on the transformation of this country. Let us be focused on creating jobs for our young people. Let us be focused on ending poverty in our republic. Let us be focused on improving the health of the people of Kenya. Let us be focused on improving agriculture and the returns to our farmers. Let us be focused on building our roads. Let us be focused on uniting the people of the Republic of Kenya. This is the agenda that we have, my brothers and sisters. This is the Jubilee agenda. And this is what today, tukiwa katika ukumbi huu, mimi nawauliza kila moja wenu, tuungane pamoja, tuende, sisi tuache matusi, tuende tuuze sera za chama yetu, tuende tuandikishe wanachama wa Jubilee, tuende tuunganishe wa Kenya. Tunaelewana wenzangu? Tunaelewana wenzangu? Ndio tuweze kuendelea na agenda yetu ya kujenga taifa letu la Kenya. Mimi nawauliza wenzangu, kila mmoja wenu hapa atafuta kiti, na ni haki na ni vyema kutafuta viti. Hiyo ni demokrasia na hiyo ndiyo siasa. Lakini leo hii mimi nataka kusema, mimi natambua kila mmoja wenu ndani ya huu kumbi kama kiongozi. Leo hii hatuna rais katika ukumbi huu. Leo hii hatuna makamu wa rais. Leo hii hatuna wajumbe. Leo hii hatuna magavana, hatuna maseneta, hatuna ma MCA. Leo hii tuko wana Jubilee ambao wanaenda kuuza chama chao kwa Wakenya. Leo hii ni jukumu letu kuhakikisha ya kwamba ajenda ya Jubilee itashinda katika uchaguzi wa Agosti. Leo hii tunataka tutoke tukiwa tumeshikana mikono, tukisema ya kwamba twarudi mashinani kufanya kazi ya kuandikisha wanachama, kazi ya kuandikisha wapigaji kura. Leo hii mimi sitambui Kabogo au Waitito. Leo hii mimi sitambui Sonko au Sakaja. Wote ni sawa, wote na watambua kama wana Jubilee. Waende na warudi mashinani, watuletee members na watuletee kura. Au munakubaliana na mimi? Munakubaliana na mimi ya kwamba tuatoka hapa leo sisi zote tukiwa sawa? Na tujue hivi wenzangu, ya kwamba tukitoka hapa leo hii tukienda kuandikisha wanachama, hawa wanachama ndio watakuwa na uhuru wa kuja kutuambia kati yetu sisi tumejaa katika rumu hii, nani atakuwa MCA. Hawa ndio watatuambia nani atakuwa mjumbe. Hawa ndio watatuambia nani atakuwa senator, nani atakuwa governor na nani atakuwa rais. Tunaelewana? Tunaelewana wenzangu? Hawa wanachama ndio watatuambia. Kwa hivyo Kwa hivyo wenzangu, mimi nataka tutoke hapa tukiwa tumeshikana mikono, tukiwa tumewahakikishia kila mmoja wenu ya kwamba Jubilee will hold free, fair and transparent nominations. And that the will of the Jubilee membership is what shall determine who shall hold which position. Tumekubaliana wenzangu? Tumekubaliana? Kwa hivyo mimi nawaomba kwa huu mwezi moja ambao tuko nao, mashindano iwe ni nani ambaye ataandikisha Wakenya wengi zaidi kuliko mwenzake. Mashindano iwe ni kuuza sera za Jubilee. Mashindano iwe ni kuandikisha wapigaji kura ambao watapiga kura Agosti ya mwaka huu. Na nataka niwaambie, tukifanya hivyo ushindi utakuwa wa kila mmoja wetu. Na niwaambie hivi jameni, mujiulize wale ambao, kwa sababu kuna wengine wanashindana so bitterly, wanashindana so bitterly. Mimi nawauliza jameni, mkishindana mtuangushe sisi zote, faida yako ni nini? Faida yako ni nini? Jameni, si tushindane kwa utulivu, tushindane kwa heshima, tukijua ya kwamba tukikubali waamuzi wa wana Jubilee na tuingie katika kura na Jubilee na serikali ya Jubilee iundwe serikali ya kitaifa, iundwe serikali za makaunti, hata wewe ambao ulishindwa uko na nafasi kwa hiyo serikali, au ni namna gani? Lakini mkipigana wenyewe kwa wenyewe mpaka muanguke wote, sasa faida yako ni nini? Faida yako ni nini? Si afadhali ushinde alafu useme we jameni, basi mimi nimekuachia kwa sababu wananchi wameamua, lakini ujue ukiunda serikali usisahau mimi naenda kukufanyia campaign sasa, si ndio? Because it is unity that shall make us win. It is unity that shall ensure that our Jubilee agenda continues. It is unity that shall ensure peace and stability in our republic. Na wenzangu, nikija kumalizia, tujue ya kwamba kazi ni kuanza, tumeanza, hatujakamilisha. Bado tuko na vijana wetu wengi ambao wanahitaji makazi. Bado tuko na wananchi wengine wetu wengi ambao wamekumbwa na umaskini. Wacha kupigana jangwa hizi iwe ndio agenda ya Jubilee. Na tujue vile ndugu yangu William amesema hapa ya kwamba jangwa hizo nimetaja za umaskini, za kupigana na magonjwa mbalimbali, za kupigana na ukosefu wa kazi, ni agenda ya kila Mkenya. Uwe wewe ni Mpokomo, wewe ni Mjaluo, wewe ni Mkikuyu, wewe ni Mkalenjin, wewe ni Mdorobo, wewe ni Msomali, ni agenda yetu sisi, na njia ya kufikia kana nile ambaye tunatafuta ni tuungane na tushirikiane, na ndipo tuwasema tuko pamoja. Niwaambie hivi, wenzetu kwa sababu wamezoea vile niliwaambia, sisi tuache chuki, matusi tuachie hawa. Wakitutusi sisi tunasema tunawasamehe, sawa sawa. Sisi hatuna haja ya kujibia matusi yao. Haja yetu ni kuuza sera zetu. Tunaelewana? Sisi hatuna haja ya kujibiana na watu ambao hawana agenda. Yasemwa, ukikimbizana na mwenda wazimu wa soko, watu hawawezi kutambua nani ni nani. Wacha wenda wazimu atembee, akimbie, uchi wake uonekane, sisi tufanye kazi yetu. Nataka kusema ya kwamba leo hii tukishamaliza kazi yetu ya mwezi moja, tutarudi hapa kwa huu ukumbi, tutoe shahada kwa ward, tutoe shahada kwa constituency, tutoe shahada kwa county ambayo itakuwa imeshinda kwa kuandikisha wanachama wa Jubilee na wapigaji kura katika uchaguzi ambao tunaelekea. Tumekubaliana hivyo? Wenzangu, mumekubali kwenda tufanye kazi? Mumekubali tuende kazi? Mimi nataka kuona kwa mikono kama tumekubaliana tuaenda kazi, tukiwa kitu kimoja na Wakenya pamoja. Nasema Mungu awabariki, Mungu awalinde, na Mungu aendelee kuongoza chama chetu cha Jubilee. Asante sana.
Wapi makofi ya Mheshimiwa Rais tena? Hapo kabisa. Tusisahau ya kwamba leo specifically tuko hapa sababu ya launch ya Jubilee card na hatuta stress enough.
All right.
We will not stress it enough. Kama hauja register kwa chama, tafadhali hakuna mahali tunaenda. Roho safi. Ama vipi wenzangu?
Abel,
yeah.
Because Your Excellency, allow me, you know, we need you to look good
Yes.
on the TV and newspapers. Yeah. So let us move this thing. It's blocking all this work. Oga, come here. Cabinet Secretary in charge of carriage and podium carrying. David, a student. With his Cabinet Secretary in charge of microphone affairs.
Sawa.
Thank you, sir. Now you are looking good, eh?
X marks the spot. Kuna mahali tunafaa tusimame pale.
There's an X there.
Yeah. So ladies and gentlemen, tukumbuke kuregister pale on the beach. By midnight tuwakuingia. Nini? Warudi denyenye asubuhi. Asante sana.
Hatakubaliwa kushiriki katika nomination bila hii card. Sawa. Basi ningependa kuhakikisha kwamba hakuna yule ambaye ataweza kushiriki katika nomination bila hii card na bila
Asanteni sana. Imeweza
choir, let's clear the stage. We are not done yet. Excuse me, let us all clear the choir if you're not a choir. If there's no history of singing in your family,
live video there coming from Tanzania State, where the President and his Deputy William Ruto have just launched the Jubilee membership smart card.
Smart card that is being taken by the aspirants, of course, and every member of Jubilee is going to be charged at 20 shillings each. 10 million of them already here. We saw some people being registered, of course, earlier on during the day. In my power panel is still with me, Professor Herman Manyora and Professor Macharia Munene. They're still with me here, and we want to dissect. Let's talk about the speeches of the leaders. Let's start with the Deputy President, William Ruto. He rallied for registration of votes. And then he also mentioned that 2017 is going to be very different from 2013, because back in 2013, they had the ICC issue, there was a scorecard. Now, back then, they were giving promises. Now they have a scorecard. Are you impressed by the scorecard of the Jubilee Party?
It was a pretty good speech. Yes, I'm impressed. The Deputy President made a very powerful comparative analysis of the situation as it was in 2012, 2013. And when the way he put it, you sympathize with the other side. Because the strong point was that the Prime Minister, the Vice President were in power at the time, and they ganged up while they were still in power, and they lost. While the other side, the side that won, was actually having some problems of varieties. So it was a very powerful analysis of what was at the time. Then you jump 4 or 5 years later and compare. The positions that have been changed. Okay. So for him, it is going to be easier. Instead of getting 50% plus 1, he claims it will be 70 and above. Okay. Now, whether that will be the case or not, that's another issue. But it, based on the preamble of the scenario, he has a reason to say that the chances are much better than they were at the time. All right. So it was and he has, the deputy has a way of working up the crowd. Yeah. That's what you give him. He can work the crowd. All right. And you could see the crowd getting agitated, forcing him to repeat some things because they sounded nice. So, and that's power, that's influence. When you look at then the president,
Before we come to the president, let me get Professor Aman Manyora's view on the Deputy President William Ruto's speech and the rallying call. There's a lot of activity behind me, as you can see. The president is just about to walk out and is most likely going to address some of his supporters here and aspirants. That's why there's massive activity right behind me here, as you can see. His entourage is already there waiting for him to just walk out, and of course he'll be whisked away as he heads out from after just having launched the Jubilee card. And those are the pictures you can see behind you. They're coming to you live from Kasarani. And Professor Aman, what do you make of the Deputy President's speech?
Deputy President Ruto gave a powerful speech, a powerful presentation. For a while I was worried that he was outstaging the president. I was wondering what would the president say after Ruto has said what he said. But you know, President Uhuru Kenyatta in his own right was a powerful speaker. If he had been just another ordinary speaker, Ruto's powerful speech would have overshadowed him. Unfortunately for him, he's also a good speaker. The things Ruto said, by and large, are all true. The comparative analysis, like Professor Mnene says, is correct, except in politics. You know, there are people who buy matatus because somebody has told them. If you buy a matatu on the Langata town route number 15, let's assume your matatu makes about 4-5 trips in a day. Let's assume each trip gives you so much. Then a guy quickly takes the pen and paper. He sees he'll make 90,000 per month. Then does quick calculations. Things don't work like that. Least of all in politics. So because the other side also has issues to wrestle with. It may be true there is no ICC. But just as there is no ICC and therefore there is no baggage, the same ICC, if you flip, is what put the supporters together. It was the glue that put the Jubilee supporters together.
Like a rally against one enemy, yeah.
It is the ICC that made Ruto and Uhuru get together and get the votes they get to a large measure. So much as you celebrate that there is no baggage from ICC, you might get to a point where you will say, I wish ICC was also around. You see that kind of thing. And when you also argue that Prime Minister Raila Odinga was government, Wetangula was powerful minister, Kalonzo was vice president, that is also true. But unfortunately, if you live in this country, you know that to what extent did they have control of government? I can say here, without fear of contradiction, that from the outside, from outside government, from his position as deputy president, even before Kibaki relinquished, long before the Nusumkata government, the kind of power I think Uhuru held behind, I could only dream about it. So it is true that the things Ruto has said are true. They are lighter. But what makes me think Ruto's speech has elements of what should worry NASA or Accord is that the other side seems to be operating oblivious of these things Ruto is enumerating.
Yeah. Professor Macharia, you were at Bomas, and one of the rallying calls that the Deputy President was made to repeat was having called the opposition organized, clueless, leaderless, and that is the one rallying call that everyone wanted him to repeat. And he mentioned that when they were at Bomas, all they ever did was just abuse them. What is the comparison between these two? What do you make of that particular comparison?
The comparison is not very good for NASA.
Yeah.
It comes out very badly. And Ruto is right, they were totally disorganized. They were fighting each other. And their main theme, running theme, was just the insult of just calling Jubilee Mwizi. There was nothing else. And then you look at each of them. What do you have to give? And you know, they even started by quarreling about protocol when they were meeting somewhere in Raila's home. Then coming, the whole thing is confused. So in terms of the presentation, the team here has done much better.
But one would argue that the team has also tried to avoid their shortcomings as a government and just only focused on the things that they have done.
Well, that's what they should do. There's nothing wrong with that. It's very good if they did what they're supposed to do, to focus on the real. Because as those other people are focusing on the negativity and using abusive language, So these people then took a high ground, which makes them look bad. And you notice that after Bomas, one of the things that happened immediately was some of the principals denying that they were part of what they were. No, Wetangula the next day said, "No, I'm not part of that thing." And Kalonzo was saying, "No." So you have this problem that the impression of being rudderless, and not to mention leaderless, because there is that infighting as to who should be the flag bearer.
Yeah.
The way it appears is a contest between Raila Odinga and Kalonzo Musyoka as to who becomes the flag bearer. And you can see both of them are very intense. And maybe that also spoiled the image they were trying to build.
Okay.
Because they were trying very hard to build a unified picture.
Yeah.
It did not come out that way.
Professor Manyora, did you make the same when you were at Bomas? Because both of you were there. Or did you also see some sense of disorganization and cluelessness?
Well, in terms of organization, I would want to a bit disagree with my friend here. You see, in terms of organization and matters of protocol, you cannot compare government and opposition. These guys here are government. Protocol is a predetermined issue. You cannot debate between Uhuru and Ruto who comes first. So therefore, it's not an issue because they are government. In terms of organization also, government has at its disposal everything, security and everything else, and everything you need. So to that extent, therefore, you would kind of be fair when you are marking work done by opposition at Bomas, because you'll be taking recognition of the fact that they are not government. Okay. They don't enjoy the facilities and the goodwill that government enjoys. Okay. But in terms of the substance, I want to agree with him that in terms of the substance, I must say here now that their followers must have been very disappointed.
Why is
the
that?
followers of NASA must have been disappointed. In fact, we are using this word NASA losing. They expected, at the very least, the launch of NASA. Not NASA the name, but the idea and the moment. They squandered it, it is gone. And any politics, getting moments such as the one that was in Bomas is not always easy. They squandered it, and I'm sure their followers are disappointed. They were afraid of this NASA because they thought they will be working to promote Mudavadi. Okay. And I think this is, if NASA were to beat Uhuru Kenyatta, and mark my English, I'm now changing from if they would beat, I'm now looking at it as an impossibility. The way they came out from Bomas, unless they do something dramatic, somebody to beat Jubilee is not anywhere in vicinity. No.
Professor, do you agree?
No, I agree with him, except that when he was saying that the government has better machinery to organize, which is true, but when they went to Bomas, the hype, pre-event hype, was higher for the other side than for this one. This one was almost not heard of, but the one in Bomas, all the main media were saying, big day, D-Day, all this. So the hype was excessively high. And then it turned out to be very disappointing because it was very low-key and it ended up looking like the confusion that it ended up being. In contrast, where the people in Bomas did not get what they expected, the people at Kasarani got more than they expected. Just the way the president and the deputy worked them out, you could see the exuberance in the crowd, and they look as if they are charged now to go and do what? Do what they have been asked. At Bomas, poor Orengo, he kept on saying fire, fire, and there was no fire. There was no bullet. So when you put them together, you can see that was very low key.
Okay.
Therefore it failed in its own objective.
Okay.
This one, I think, exceeded
expectations. Professor Hammond, one of the other things that both leaders spoke about was the registration of voters. And this may cut both sides because IEBC wanted to get more voters the last time. There was mass voter registration. They were targeting about 4 million. They got 1.4. Is that a failure of the leadership or voter apathy?
You see, I was not surprised that IEBC got the low numbers they got, 1.4 million instead of 4 million. The reason is simple. People in this country are used to registering before an election. So the mood was not there. So you ask people to go and register, you wouldn't see them. Wait until you see from Monday. There'll be people who register. The numbers will be big. Not what they are expecting, I doubt. But the numbers certainly will be much, much better than they got. And again, you can also see the way the leadership of both sides is coming in. Today, a sizable amount of time and energy has been spent energizing the people to go and vote. Same happened in Bomas. That a lot of effort was expanded in telling the membership to go and register as voters.
Yeah.
So you expect to see a lot more turnout in terms of voter registration than last time.
Okay.
But that's the one thing they had in common. Both were very clear. Please go and register and please vote. That one they have in common, and I think they did well on both counts.
All right.
So the question is, but who is interested?
Yeah, in fact, let's come to
he makes a promise to people, you register more, I'll give you a certificate. you know, that's an inducement.
Does that
in marketing, yeah? I'm not an expert in marketing, but I'm a person of communication. And when in marketing, you must not only charge the person or excite them, you must lead them to some action. These fellows are leading their people to some action. That was lacking in Bomas.
Yeah.
And because of a simple thing, the gentlemen in Bomas concentrated and spent so much energy trying to put down NASA and Mudavadi. And they forgot the thing that should have taken them there, what they ought to have done. What I'm saying, they have disappointed their followers because if they do not know the meaning of opposition unity that has failed governments in Gambia, in Nigeria, and other places, I think they ought to take a ride, get to Gambia, and find out how the dictator was removed. These fellows, they put aside their difference, and if Raila, Kalonzo, Mudavadi, Wetangula will ever dream of removing Uhuru in August, they must go beyond what I saw at Bomas. Certainly they were below expectation, because the amount of sacrifice required to remove a sitting government, the amount of effort you need to put in place to remove President Uhuru from power was not displayed at Bomas, not at all. And they don't have the time, because if you look at the IBC timelines, certain things must be in place. If they were going to have this NASA or anything like it, something similar to NASA, a superstructure, because now Wetangula is saying they want to work within code. That is already excluding Mudavadi. Code must be under a certain superstructure in which then you can bring in other players like Ngelu, like Kivuta Kibwana and the rest, and then Mudavadi. If they had that kind of arrangement, they would get power. But I'm beginning to see that hope diminish and recede into the background. Yeah, it's not easy for them.
Professor Mashari?
Yeah, if I may add, I'm not there to advise CORD or NASA, but if they could reduce their negativity, they might get a little more mileage. Because in the process of stressing negativity, you exaggerate things which are not true. And people have common sense. So when they use common sense, they say that person is lying. And I think that's why Uhuru's speech was so powerful. They say, here is this and this, you have all seen it. And then somebody says it's not there. Whom are you going to believe?
But we must be allowed
to...
Let
me finish, Professor. You know, I'm comparing. So sometimes they make exaggerations. And sometimes they appear to look for faults which are not there. And when you look for faults which are not there, sometimes you invent them. And then people can see through you. So what I'm saying is using common sense to avoid being caught on small things. And I think that's an area that the CORD sorority may want to consider.
But does that overshadow the bigger issues like graft that we brought up before? Are Kenyans angry enough for this rallying call to sort of change the direction of the leadership?
The way we saw it, yes, there has been talk. I mean, these are not new things. They've become routine. And to the point where, especially when you talk about that and then you exaggerate, you start telling untruths in the name of stressing something. And people can see through you. That's what the problem is. If people are dumb and are not using common sense, and then you tell them a lie and they accept it, I'll say it's okay. But the minute they start saying, wait a minute, just wait a minute, you know that that is not true, and you are doing it. There's something wrong with you. So it is in the interest of CORD and their friends to recalibrate their strategies so that they are not caught on small lies, which is, it's not good for them. I would like to see a good healthy competition of something that people can say, yeah, that's a good one.
Okay.
But when it is, you are caught on small things, you lose.
Okay. Professor Manyora, what do you make of the president's rallying call? Because in his speech, one of the main statements we had was Washindwe.
It is powerful. In public speaking, especially in political speeches, a slogan like that, a rallying thing like that is powerful. Washindwe. But I was interjecting a short while ago. I wanted to say, I agree with Prof here that it is true that a lot of negativity may lose you followers. Some people may say, now, this is too much. But in the same breath, I wanted to say, let not Jubilee be deceived into thinking people will vote for them on account of what they have done. That doesn't work. It doesn't work. Kibaki is still alive. He's somewhere in Nyeri or Muthaiga. They can go and ask him. In 2007, Kibaki had done things which a short 3 years earlier, if you had told someone that would happen in this country, they would have thought you were crazy.
What then is the driving force? Why
and you see, people didn't listen to that.
Yeah.
In politics, is usually things that are not as tangible as development that count. For example, this corruption thing, this wheezy kind of thing. That's why CORD has their thing ready for them to use. There is anger. You know, if you read the concession speech by President, I can't remember his name, from Ghana, when he lost, he said there was a lot of anger in Ghana, a lot of anger against him, a lot of anger against his government. Because of surrounding himself with sycophants, because of theft of public resources, that is the anger that can drive President Uhuru out of State House, except the opposition is not getting its act together. If the opposition got its act together, that anger exists in this country. The anger of corruption, the anger of perceived or really tribalism, the anger of inefficiency in government. The anger you see, for example, every Kenyan who has some little sense in them knows the kind of borrowing the government is engaging in is not healthy for any country. There's so much anger in this country, but the opposition is not putting its act together. If they would go beyond what they did in Karen, Bomas, they would win, but unfortunately for them, they are pursuing very narrow. And President Uhuru said it. He said, for example, you people, if you are fighting in Kiambu, Kafogo, and who? He didn't mention them, but he meant people. If you are fighting small wars,
at this point is not.
And then we all lose. So what is the benefit? Yeah. If you look in NASA or CORD for that matter, there are a lot of small wars, little ego wars, Wetangula and Mudavadi in Western Province, Khalwale and Oparanya in Kakamega, Joe and Isaac. Small little wars. Because what Uhuru is saying is, once we have the power, the presidency, what is it we can do for you? I mean, you can lose in an election down there, but if I'm the president of the Republic of Kenya, if Khalwale were to lose to Oparanya, Raila Odinga or Musalia Mudavadi, if they were president, they would make him minister in charge of health. Yeah. That's much more powerful and a new arrangement than being a small governor in Kakamega. So, and CORD or NASA should learn from what President Uhuru has said today. Those small little wars of ego and small little positions you are looking for can compromise us in terms of the big thing we're looking for.
Okay. Do you agree with that?
I agree with my friend that the exploitation of anger can lead somewhere. And that if Jubilee is not careful, it is possible to incite that anger into a flame, which right now they're not doing, but they can. But also what I was also pointing out is, in doing so, you should not be seen to go out of your senses, to go overboard. So there are those challenges, there are those issues that people can talk about, some of them over-exaggerated. But when you listen, if you put Raila there and Uhuru there, and you make them debate, who do you think will come out on the debating table? And these are some of the things that they need to consider. Are you making your point across in a way that people understand and say yes? Or are you making your point in a way that drives people away? You know, these are contrasting ways. So Professor here is right. At present, and I'm not going to talk about those polls that have taken place, but at present, the way we have seen things in the last 3 days, if an election was held, who will go in?
Yeah, that was based on the previous.
Yeah, just in the last 2-3 days.
Yes.
The way the two teams presented themselves, NASA failed. The Jubilee team seems to have done their homework. Eh? Of course, they have the advantage that they watch these people mess up. Yes, they did. And as they saw them mess up, though, they tightened up a little, clean up a little bit. So they come up and present a positive image of what the country stands for, or what they stand for. So that's maybe if they were there, these had started earlier, maybe the others would slow down. We don't know. But they have that advantage.
What do you make of the utterance of the president when he told Kafogo that saizi siko na wewe?
Yeah.
What does that mean?
No, he told Kafogo and Waitito, both of them. Eh?
Yes.
I'm not with you, I'm with everybody.
The people that have been confirmed right now is the president and the deputy president. It means everybody else is on their
We are all equal. Although when he said we are all equal, it was a bit because they are not equal. He is the only one who is assured of a nomination. That's what he said, that the only assured people is the president and the deputy. All the others, whether they are friends, relatives, or whatever, Kabogo, Waitito, and even whoever is running on Jubilee ticket, you are equal. If the voters don't like you, Jubilee voters, don't cry to me. You know, that's what we were saying. And that's where the idea of the smart card comes in. So in order for you to vote, you must have that card to show that you are committed, not just a member, but a committed member of Jubilee. You value it so much that you are willing to spend 20 shillings to get a card. So the people who will be nominated by those members are likely to be genuine. And if they are genuine, the chances for them to win in the next are higher. In case they are not genuine, some fellow who come from nowhere and just win. And that's the anger that you were talking about.
Is that utterance an inspiration for people to go ahead and look for votes, or an inspiration to think of other ways of getting to a different party before the nominations? Because after that, now you can't go anywhere.
You know, we are in a very difficult terrain now. It's very tricky. And of course, the president is also navigating, knowing very well that you cannot afford to antagonize any of these fellows. And you cannot be seen to be favoring one. But the bottom line of it all is that you must do this thing in such a way that one, the party remains one after nomination. And the two, and that's what the president must have been focusing on a lot, you must be able to lead people, these aspirants here, into believing that they stand the best chance of winning the nomination. And that, so that because of that belief and confidence that this election, that the nomination free and fair, because of that confidence in the system and in the party, that they are then going out there to look for votes, to help register voters, and so on and so forth.
Okay. Professor Macharia, let's go back to that rallying call that everyone echoed from the deputy president. Yeah. Disorganized, clueless, leaderless opposition. Yes. Do you think the fact that the opposition has not yet chosen a leader to represent who will run for president, is that one of the reasons why they might eventually end up losing?
I think it's a major reason. Yeah. Because there was no one giving direction. Give credit to Musalia Mudavadi, coming from nowhere and then appearing to give direction. Because the Bombers event was a Musalia Mudavadi event. And showing that he may be able to unite various players. But even that has been contested very seriously. So if they had one uniting personality that they all agree, yes, this is the one, of course, they probably would have done better than they did in that regard. Uhuru has the advantage. There's no debate here. So it has time to think, calibrate to find out what do the people want, what will excite the people. And I think that religious slogan, Ashindwe, sometimes I think he prays a lot. But so he said, we will pray for these people. So whoever advised him on those things did a good job. In contrast, whoever advised those people on the other side did a very bad job.
Do you agree?
Yeah, it's to some extent. But let me respond to this, that you need a leader to unite the people. The people should rally around him. That's very true, that a powerful, strong leader then helps the people to rally together and fight a common cause. That may be true, and that, as of today, is lucky in NASA or Code, whatever you call it. But it's also true that it need not always be a leader, a human being. It can be a question. It can be an issue that then around which the entire nation is galvanized. People can be galvanized around a certain issue or question. And theft of public resources in this country has been such an issue. It can galvanize a significant section of this country to remove Jubilee from power. However, you still, and I agree with him, you need some organizational capacity. You need some thinking to go into it. And increasingly it is becoming clear to me that Code seems to be poor at this. Because you need to look around to see how Jubilee is scheming, to see how the issue of the day remains the issue, because the way the president is now putting it is Washindwe, a sizable number of people from the other side may begin to say, surely, even if they steal, but they do this and this and this for us, well, at least Mugaga na upwa hali wale mkavu, that you see, these fellows could be stealing a bit here and there, pinching here and there, but we have the SGR, we have power, we have laptop, etc. So, in other words, I'm saying, you need a leadership in the opposition that will begin to look at the rallying issue, which is theft of public resources, how the Jubilee is addressing itself to that. And if you noticed in Kasaran today, a lot of effort was spent answering NASA or Court, to the extent that what brought them here, which is the launch, was almost forgotten. A lot of effort was spent answering the other side. And therefore the other side ought to sit down and begin to see what they thought was so fortified, was so secure. Jubilee is beginning to eat into it. Okay. And that question that was so important to Kenyans, in due course and with time, it may not be as powerful a message as it was.
Professor Bashari, one of the weaknesses with that argument is when you keep on calling somebody mwizi, and it turns out that you are the bigger thief. and people see it. The tables are turned. The tables are turned. They say, like when you say the thief is busy calling other people thieves. and they say, wait a minute, but you are the one. So the record as it is right now, no one denies that there is corruption across the board. National and county government. It is there. So it looks disingenuous. When somebody says, it's only him, it's only him. And then you turn the table, scratch a little bit, and you find, wait, what's this mountain doing here? And it doesn't belong where? So that's what I was talking about, losing credibility by saying making statements that might haunt you afterwards. Okay. So yes, the misuse of resources is an issue. And if somebody can come up with a good strategy of explaining and convincing people that it is so, then they may have a... See, one of the advantages Uhuru has, you cannot call Uhuru any of those things as a person. The other side, I don't think any of them can be said that way, any of them.
All right.
So, these and people can see, they say, look. Okay. So you need to be careful. Wait a minute, what are you saying? And That advantage that Uhuru has, to overcome it, requires a lot of work.
Okay, let's talk about the launch of the smart card, because one of them, it's sold at 20 shillings, and there are over 10 million have already been brought in, and more will be brought in based on the demand. What is to stop a politician from buying the highest number of cards and only give it to his people when they pledge allegiance to him, essentially locking out those who don't have enough financial might, making this a game of how much money you can actually fork out to buy the cards?
It has happened before. Even during the days of KANU, whenever it had to be that you had to have a card to participate in the KANU nominations, it is those who had the money to buy the cards en masse, in big numbers, from the head office at KICC then, that carried the day. Whenever it was always going to be demanded that for you to participate, you needed a KANU card, it's only those with money. So will it be this time round? In other words, those people who will have the money and the capacity. Of course, in some of these places, that's not very important because all these guys have money. But there are places in this country where that may be an issue. And also there are levels. At the level of the MCA, in many parts of this country, there will be people who can't afford to buy just about even 500 cards. So if the opponent has the capacity, the financial muscle to buy more, so this is some of the things you have to live with in terms of compromising on democracy.
Yeah. So they'll not say that they are buying them, they are facilitating and giving aid to the citizens.
Buying and facilitating will be the same. So in other words,
they are giving.
You definitely compromise on democracy, because if you can buy more than me, it means, well, if you have people turn out to vote, assuming again you have control over them after giving them, then you have an upper hand over me.
Yeah, what do you make of that, Professor?
Well, I'm not going to quarrel with that. I think there is a point that those who are able to mobilize, the method of mobilizing is something else, to mobilize more people to register as Jubilee members have an advantage. Because, see, they were given an order here, right, by the president. Go and mobilize. And after 1 month or so, they will have another meeting to see who did more mobilization. No. So that's an incentive for them to go and convince people here. Okay? And it's going to happen.
Okay.
Let's not kid ourselves. So, but that does not mean that the people who register will not be genuine members. I think that's the main thing. The people who register as Jubilee members, either way, are they going to be genuine members or fake?
Okay.
And that's the tricky part, because there are also likely to be a lot of fake people carrying the card, you know, to do a number on their rivals. But how to protect the system from that is very difficult.
Okay.
But it is likely to happen, and now that they're in competition to see who registers more people, you can see there will be a lot of interesting things to be done.
Professor Manyora, and speaking of registration, the flip side now is the opposition doing enough to have their own strongholds register enough. Because we've seen in places, even in places like Muranga, if you don't have a voter's card, you're not even allowed to enjoy a drink. And that now has been taken to the hands of the citizens themselves. Yeah. Is the opposition also resonating well with the people in their own strongholds to rally as much people to register?
In 2012, in the run-up to the general election of 2013, I was at home, I was on sabbatical leave for the whole year. And therefore, when the voter registration exercise was taking place toward the end of 2012, I was out in the village. I can tell you, I never saw the presence of CORD. And I come from a CORD zone. I come from an ODM zone those days. I never saw any effort, any. Musalia Mudavadi was a candidate. I come from East County. I never saw any effort, not from UDF, the precursor to ANC, not from ODM, none whatsoever. I was in the village. I never saw any effort. I am afraid for them that even now, they are not doing enough.
All right.
I have not seen that organizational arrangement. For example, if they were going to go into, to move into top gear in terms of mobilizing people to register, they need to put behind them certain things in order to get the infrastructure required for example, they need to formalize their coalition. They need to have embraced NASA or whatever it is they want to use. Create a secretariat and begin to look into the logistical issues you need to look into to be able to mobilize people into voting. This will include financial arrangements. To the extent that they are nowhere near formalizing this coalition of theirs, with the registration taking place in the next 3 or 4 days, I am afraid for their followers. These people are far behind.
As we come to a close, on a scale of 1 to 10, how would you rate the performance of Jubilee today after the launch of the card?
Today?
Yes.
6 out of 10.
Professor?
Well, I'll differ slightly and say 7 to 8. No, they did well. So I give them an A.
All right. You didn't ask what do we give code or NASA?
What did you give NASA?
I gave them 4 out of 10.
And Prof?
I will agree.
You agree there?
All right, gentlemen, thank you so much for making time. That's been Professor Herman Manyor and Professor Macharia Munene speaking to me live on a day when the Jubilee Party has launched the first ever smart card for their members of parliament, and of course all the aspirants that are here, and every member who wants to be part of the Jubilee Party is allowed to register all over the country. My name has been Trevor Mbija, and it still is Trevor Mbija. We'll be bringing you more updates coming from NTV. Thanks for staying with us.